Hey there, YouTube. What's goody in the hoodie, my guy? Welcome to another episode of Con Conversations, where whatever we talk about is a topic that's set long enough to be delicious and maybe make some of you grind your teeth. Hopefully, not too much, because I'm not paying for nobody's teeth replacements. Mm-mm. So, I have been really going within, trying to find something to speak about with all of you. And unfortunately, what is encompassing most of my mind is the issue I'm dealing with at hand this week, and that is respect. So, respect is going to come out in many different forms depending on who you're dealing with, when and where. But essentially, respect, what it looks like or what it feels like, is an interaction where the parties, once they separate from that interaction, are left feeling either neutral or better. Okay. If an individual is feeling worse after that interaction, or they're feeling negative, there's some form of disrespect that may have occurred. You know, exceptions of this would be like in the middle of negotiations and compromise, where if somebody leaves happy, they may feel disrespected, even if that wasn't necessarily the case. So, it really is in the eye of the beholder and how you choose to interpret those interactions. But for me, if I'm leaving an interaction more negative than I entered, something with respect wasn't right there. Okay. And there are a lot of sayings on how to go about respect, right? Respect is a two-way street. You got to give respect to earn respect. Respect is earned, you know? And I feel like that could be really confusing for people, right? Because if respect is a two-way street, why doesn't everyone respect us then if we're so respectful to them? It's not a two-way street. Nobody owes anyone anything in this world. We are all born naked, crying with no resources, minus what our parents have, right? Um, and completely helpless. So when it comes to knowing when respect should be given, it really depends on the circumstance. Like if you're in the workplace, be respectful. Don't be a dickhead in the workplace. Don't do that. Okay? Don't be an HR problem. Don't get yourself fired. Okay? Be respectful in the workplace. Another time you want to utilize a respectful behavior even before it's may be provided to you, it's like a first time interaction, right? If you're going on a date with somebody or you're meeting friends for the first time, or friend to friend, whatever, you want to go in with a respectful and open kind of demeanor in order to facilitate like a good interaction, right? Because anybody you're meeting for the first time, you come off disrespectful, it's not a good first impression. They're less likely to actually respect you, and there's a possibility of people returning that energy to you. Because I don't know if you know that, but people can mirror your energy. In any case, when it comes to really figuring out who it is that truly respects you versus who doesn't, really take a moment to kind of reflect on the interactions you had with the parties in question. Have you expressed things, and were those things honored or considered, right? Have you ever Never mind. That was the point I have, because my brain went so we're just going to go with that one point. Like, when you establish a boundary with an individual or individuals, whatever, and that boundary is overstepped, it's mocked of, or attempted to put shame onto, that's not respect. It's not respect in any form whatsoever. So you really need to take a moment to just kind of think. and consider, has respect come into this interaction? So once you do all of that, okay, let's say you find, okay, this person is not very respectful of me. Our interactions are not really positive at all. What do you do? So what do you do when you're faced with somebody who's not respectful? There's a few ways you can go about it, okay? There's four. One is ghosting, another is returning that energy back to them. Another is staying in that situation. And then the last would be communicating to leave. Okay. So let's start with the first option. The first option being ghosting. Ghosting is very popular nowadays. You know, if you don't say something, if you say something I don't like or I don't feel a vibe, I'm gone. Whoosh. Casper up in here. And honestly, I've ghosted here and there. I do think it can be effective in protecting your own energy. I just don't think it's effective in really getting the point across to that other individual that what was said or done on their end was inappropriate, and it likely leads to that continued behavior afterwards. So if your goal is simply to cut out that kind of disrespect and energy, and you want no parts and you don't really care what they do or say afterwards, go for it. Ghost them, cut it off, yeet out of there, gone, right? Cool beans. um then the next option would be, I just said them out loud and I'm already forgetting. We said you could ghost. We said match their energy, right? Give it right back to them. So yeah, you can definitely give someone the same level of disrespect they gave you. Here's the thing though, anyone's actions or behaviors are never a reflection of anyone other than the person performing those actions and behaviors. So if somebody's being disrespectful towards you, it's not so much of a reflection of you. There's one exception that I'll touch on later. It's a reflection of that individual, right? Because they're the ones that are explicitly choosing to open their fucking mouth and be disrespectful. That's a choice. Okay. Everyone has the ability to stop, to think, to reflect, and, really consider what it is that they're going to do beforehand, unless there's like a diagnosis that literally prevents that. I'm not addressing that. Okay. I'm addressing everyone else who has the ability to filter themselves before speaking. So if somebody's disrespecting you, excuse me, and they elect to do so, you can also elect to give it right back to them. But it's not gonna, it'll put them in their place. It may make them feel something. It may even shut them up. It will still be a reflection of you for doing so at the end of the day, for stooping to that level, for choosing to also be disrespectful, to showing that side of you. And it doesn't necessarily make you a disrespectful person all the time. Like, it's not all encompassing. You had a moment where you disrespected somebody. That's okay. Just be aware, if you match someone's energy, that's on you. And the consequences will also be on you, because guess what? You can match their energy and they'll catch it and throw it right back at you. Or in the worst case scenarios, you disrespect somebody and they're going to catch it, and then you're going to catch those hands. Okay? You need to be aware that there are consequences of whatever decisions you choose. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm saying if you're going to be disrespectful to somebody, you better be ready for the consequences. Okay? The next choice or the next option that you could possibly do would be to stay there. And I don't mean you've had a conversation, you've had an agreement, you said you're gonna move forward, it won't happen again, and then you stay in that situation. I don't mean that. I mean, because that kind of ties into the last option. I'll come back to that. What I mean is nothing is addressed towards that person. You continue to allow it to happen, continue to allow that energy to be around you. And remember how I said that people's actions and behaviors are not a reflection of anyone other than the person performing those actions and behaviors? Yeah, this is that exception. Because you know what? If you know that person is disrespectful and you know that this is going to keep going because this is how they are, well, that's just how it is. It's not, that's their personality. That's not, that stops being a reflection on them, and that now becomes a complete reflection on you. It does. It means you don't respect yourself. That's exactly what it means. But how? I'm not the one doing it. You're allowing it. You're allowing that behavior to be around you. And genuinely, the people you keep around you is a reflection of you and how you see yourself. So if somebody's disrespecting you and you continue to allow them around you in your circle, you don't respect you. That's what that tells me. Because otherwise, what are you doing? Why are you letting somebody talk to you like that? You must believe it's true. That must be the case. I digress. Um Now, in the cases where you do have a conversation, you come to an agreement, and you continue with that agreement in mind, that's a different case. That's a very special case. Those are one of the unicorn situations where everything can work out, and every little moment of disrespect is addressed. It doesn't happen again. It's perfect. It's not very likely. Because if someone was disrespectful to you one time, they're gonna have the ability to disrespect you again. Point blank, period. And the people who really love you and really appreciate you won't even want to be disrespectful. It wouldn't even cross their mind. And I don't mean like you're close enough to somebody, you've known them long enough to be so comfortable and be like, hey, you stupid bitch, I love you. You dumb fuck. Like, I don't mean like that. Okay, you have experienced a comfort level where you can joke around in that manner and both parties know and feel it's a joke. I no longer like to joke that way because I am at the point in my life where I start to realize like every joke has some sense of truth behind it. So, as easily as we can joke around and say, ha ha ha, you stupid ass, I could easily turn around and still say, you're a fucking stupid ass. I got used to calling you that. It's easy now. So I don't really do that no more. Um to other people who have that relationship and those kind of connections with people, great. All the more to you. Why are you talking to me like that? What makes you think that's cute? That's funny? I'm a stupid ass. Let me show you how stupid I could get. Sorry, no. You see what I mean? You disrespect someone, you got to be ready for the consequences. What is this hair doing? Which side do you want to be on? Okay. You're like actively witnessing my hair rebel against me. That's fine. This is cool. Ta-da. Great. Now let's get back to it. And then we have the final thing where you actively communicate as clearly, as concisely as possible. This is my boundary. This is what I will tolerate. This is what I will not tolerate. And I find what you have done or said to be very disrespectful. You've communicated that with every intention and every understanding that that person may not learn their lesson, may not give a flying fuck, but you spoke your truth, you vocalized what you needed to, and you have the resolve to keep it pushing and live your life elsewhere. Live your life away from that energy. And I feel like that's a happy medium. I feel like that's a happy medium. Regardless, whatever option you choose, it really is dependent on who you are, the situation, who you're dealing with, and even how you're feeling that day. Because, one day I'll go somebody, and the next day I'm gonna throw all of that energy right back at them because you caught me at a bad time. And you know what? I woke up ready to fight. I don't recommend that. Full disclosure, I don't. Just because we can make orange look cute doesn't mean that we have to volunteer as tribute to be in that jumpsuit on a day to day, right? Oh, I wish that this episode was surrounding something a little more positive, a little more happy, and or something even more factual. Like, I really thought this episode was going to be about birds or whatever. Like, that's what I thought before current events happened. But current events happened, which is hilarious because I don't know. I had a whole 7 people watch my previous episode. So, of you 7, I don't know if you remember me mentioning that there was one individual who was toxic that I said, I'll deal with that later. Hitch. Yo, you say something out loud, you best be ready to deal with what comes. Because 1 week, 1 week to the day, that person popped back up. And I thought I had more time. I thought I had more time. This person had been healing from a very, very big thing that happened to them. I'm not going to go into detail because it's not my thing to go into. But essentially, I thought they were still in the healing process. I was fully prepared to not see them for a few more weeks. If I was lucky enough, a few more months. I was like, good. I don't got to deal with it right now. The universe said, word, you're going to deal with it? Toma. Let's do it. Put your money where your mouth is, bitch. So now I got to deal with it. Because upon this individual's return, I was under the impression that this person would have a similar mindset to what I had when I was in my healing journey post surgery. Because I'm over here in the hospital bed and then going through my days, struggling with the healing process. And I'm like thinking of every single decision I've made that got me there. I'm thinking of every single decision that put me in the circumstance of my life and what kind of decisions I'm going to need to make in order to make the changes necessary for me to be happier because I was not happy at that time. I wanted to, and I've said this to people in 2025, I want to take the reins of my life. I want to take life by the cojones and I want to take back control. And so I did. And that was facilitated through the healing process, through that reflection. This person, I don't know. I don't know. Yo no sé. Oh, I don't know what the fuck they did in their healing because that was not the first interaction we had since then. Bro, as soon as we see each other, I'm excited. I've had Christmas gifts waiting to give out for a minute. So I'm like, hey, happy belated Merry Christmas. Trick or treat, whatever. It wasn't Christmas anymore. So like I just gave them the presents. We were all in a good mood. And then immediately I am questioned by this individual for a decision I had made before when they weren't even around. A decision that, mind you, was something regarding my private life. Wasn't necessarily confidential, like I wasn't keeping things secret. I was still working on reflecting with that decision and how I felt about it. It's not something I had even brought up to other individuals in the group, and that person felt it was appropriate to do so in front of everyone. And me, you bring something up, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie about it. I've been there, I've done that, I own my shit. Okay, so if I'm questioned, I'm gonna be like, yeah, I did it. The fuck? So I owned up to it, and immediately I'm being judged. I'm being shamed. How could you? But like, seriously? Like, really? You? And I'm like, that decision was not that bad. Was it my A plus decision? No, it's not the best decision in my life, but that decision that you have now decided to bring up in front of everybody, it was not bad enough for me to feel any shame or embarrassment regarding it. And for whatever reason, that person continued to attack that decision in such a judgmental manner that I'm like, why? Why? This is what you did your whole healing journey. Focus on what other people were doing. And then after that, make your own negative opinions just to bring it up the second you're healed enough to be out and about. That's how long that they had sat in that negativity. That it was the first thing, as soon as they finished healing to that extent, because they still have a journey to go. That was the first thing. They're like, what the fuck, bitch? Like, it was immediately questioning me, right? And I found that so disrespectful. I found that so incredibly disrespectful because everyone makes decisions in their life. I'm not going to judge you on your decisions. I may formulate my own opinions, but I'm not you, and I don't know your extenuating circumstances for me to be there judging you and condemning you for said decisions. I also do not feel anyone at this point in my life, anyone is relevant enough for them to be sitting in my head that long to make up some of the things that this person was saying in that moment. So, in light of that, now I really got to deal with this. Like I said, I brought it up, and the universe said, do it. Show me what you got. So, unfortunately, this is not somebody I can ghost. It's somebody I have previously ghosted before. Not once, I think like two or three times in my life. We have literally separated that friendship, like saying like we don't want each other in our lives. But unfortunately, we do share common friends. So when I was ghosting them, they weren't. And that's a problem for me because you can choose to have whoever you want in your life. Go for it. You want that person to stick around? Go for it. That's totally good for you. I don't. There's a reason why I walked away, so that person should not be brought around me. Okay? And at the time I had held the other individuals accountable for doing such a terrible thing to me. Like that's how I interpreted like how dare you? You know I don't fuck with them. How dare you? Now I kind of understand a little more like, hey, people can have whoever they want in their lives. I don't have to agree with it. However, if that's the choice they're going to make, I can still withdraw and walk away from those individuals as well. It may suck because I love those individuals and I don't have problems with them. I have problems with what they're choosing around them. And I don't have to be around them if that's the case. Point blank, period. So, as much as I would like to take the ghosting way out, not likely. I ideally would like to clearly and concisely communicate how I felt, how would I would like to no longer feel in interactions, and I would like to keep it pushing with as much space from said individual as possible to the point where I wanted to feel like I ghosted them. I wanted to feel I'm gonna block them on everything, but I want to make it so they do not exist in my life anymore. And if others facilitate a meeting where we are around each other again, I'm not gonna act cordial. I'm not gonna fake it. I'm not gonna acknowledge them. I'm gonna keep it pushing or I'll leave early because I don't need that. I just don't. That's in a perfect world. That's what I'm going for because I genuinely, despite the fact that I'm taking space from hanging out a lot in general, just to focus on me and staying dry and not smoking, it I'm not looking to ghost an entire friend group. That's not my goal. That's not really my intention. Um, However, it is not completely out of the picture if it gets to that. It's just it is what it is. But then my brain, because we talk about what happens in a perfect world, but like our brain, our minds, this mush in our cranium, it does a really good job at creating scenarios that are not perfect, right? So my brain has already kind of figured out, like, okay, we want to communicate clearly and concisely. What happens if that don't work? My brain has already, unfortunately, opted into returning their energy, and it's something I would like to very much avoid. Just because in that last interaction alone, I had a moment where I stooped to their level and it didn't feel good. I immediately had to come back to myself and be like, that's not me. It's not me. And I still did that as a result of whatever they had said. So I also need to work on ensuring whatever it is people say or do around me don't impact me enough where I step away from my own character. That's tough shit. That's hard to do. People when people really get at you, you act in ways that are not like you. And that's just what had happened the other day. So, I am going to do my best to communicate clearly and concisely when I'm ready because I'm not going to force it. And I would love if all of you could take a moment, really consider, do the people you choose to have around you, are they respectful of you? Do they treat you kindly? Do you feel good, or at least the same as you did after that interaction? Or do you feel worse? Take that moment to figure it out. And once you do, consider your options and move accordingly. I want you to know we're in this together. For my 6 or 7 viewers, I love you guys. For anybody who is a new viewer here, I love you too. Thanks for listening in. I hope you have a phenomenal week and we'll talk again soon. Ciao.